All right, so this is part 3. We're gonna go through an example showing you the process. But first, my disclaimer: not responsible for your profit or loss. Not a broker. I'm not a financial advisor. So be responsible. Remember, this is our process that we spoke about in the first video. 4 steps, and let's run through them. So on this day, August 10th, we start with the ES. We see what's happening, the macro trend, macro trend. When is this? 2017? Sheesh. Anyways, we are trending up, and it seemed that we have run into some resistance here at this level, support down here at this level. So we're in this tight range here. When we come out of a tight range, we're either going to explode to the upside or break down to the downside. It's a lot of think of it as potential energy just being wound up and eventually releasing either up or down. In this case, it looked like we have broken to the downside. So we go to 15-minute, right? And remember, we're plotting our support and resistance levels from the previous day into the current day, right? And so we can see that going into the current day, we have been on this downtrend. We have not been able to come back up. And before the market opened, we're actually back to where we started on the previous day here at around 24.59. Right? So going into the open, we're currently at support, right? And what happens at support, as we've spoken about, is that we usually get a lot of buy orders coming in to push the stock up, right? However, we did break below our EMA lines, and our parabolic SARs did reverse. So looking at that, the ES, we then take a look at the VX to see what's happening there. Quite the opposite. The VX is actually exploding to the upside, right? And it's coming into a resistance level here. All right, got some good support here, resistance here. And so having a strong VX, I expect to see some sell-offs in the stock. Let's see what we have. After we check our futures, let's look at the daily on this too. Look at this. This is just a huge explosion to the upside. Remember this tight range that we just spoke about? Channels, and channels are quite easy to play, probably the easiest to play, because you know that something's gonna happen once the volume kicks in. It's either gonna shoot up to the upside or downside. Yeah, so let's go to our watch list. We're sorting by volume, so we have Macy's, AMD, Apple, Nvidia, Baba, Facebook, Micron, Tesla. These have pretty good volume. So let's see what's happening here. Macy's. Macy's is in a sideways range. Got some resistance and support here. yesterday looked like it's starting to break below our EMA, right? So we could possibly see a sell-off to the downside here. Let's look at our pre-market. What's happening? We have a lot of activity, but mostly looks like a lot of selling action. All right. Now we do want to plot our support and resistance lines on the day before, right? These potential names that we're going to be playing. Okay. AMD, I don't too much like AMD. AMD. Okay. We got Facebook. Okay, we've come up. We peaked here. Seems to be support there. There. What's happening in the pre-market? Look, pre-market from yesterday's close to the pre-market, we have sold off. We have lost 0.49% in Facebook. Okay, so we got to mark these levels as well. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, when you're marking your levels, right? These levels are like targets. Now, if we get a break to the downside, okay, if we open up and we get a break to the downside, our target should be the next support level, right? And when we get there, if we see some strong buy signals, we should get out, take whatever profit we got. If we get a break to the upside, our first target should be the pre-market high, and then the next resistance level, then the one after that, and then, you know, whatever else is whatever next levels the resistance. So yeah, let's look at Baba. Baba has come down as well since the close, down 0.71%. Let's look at the daily. It's above. Yeah, it's still above the EMA. All right. Let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA, not really affected by the VIX, has not lost much overnight. So, Apple came down as well. So looking at this, in accordance with the VIX exploding, our most correlated names would be Facebook, Macy's, and Apple, if it ever loads up. All right, so from there we can chart. Let's unlink this, unlink. Facebook's already there. Apple, Macy's. So let's see what happens. And this is a pretty cool feature, by the way. You have an on-demand feature that allows you to paper trade. All right, practice, get familiar with the process, until you know what you're doing. But even then, using real money is quite different than trading with a paper account. Have our ES here. Let's put the VX here. Pause this. Let's maximize. All right. So here we are again. We have opened the market. Our price action is below our EMA and our parabolic SAR and Facebook. The same with Macy's. The same with Apple. Right? So we're pretty much in line with market conditions. All of our sectors, most of our sectors are red except for the energy sector. So what you will see is that the energy stocks are going to be going up or upticking. All the rest of these have pretty much gone down the trash can. Now, if we can identify our market direction, right? Okay. We'll see our ES is dropping. Our VIX is perking up. What is our next move? The Macy's isn't that active, so don't think I really want to look into that too much. If we identify our direction, right? Our next move is to find a spot to get in and ride the wave. That's it. Apple is crashing. I like to get a pop before I get into any stock. So, I actually like Facebook. So let's see what's happening with Facebook. Let's go to our option. Let's go to our option chain. I play the weeklies. And oh, look at that. The puts are exploding. Alright, so the next at the money put would be the 167.50s. Okay. As we get ready to enter the trade and select how many contracts we want. Let's say we buy 10 contracts at $43, so that's $430. Okay. Let's see what's happening with the trade itself. Now that we've picked what we want to trade, we get to zero in on it. Let's see what happens. Remember, for the stock to bounce, it has to first break through this resistance area here. We're looking for the price action to get rejected and maybe for a candle to open below this one. There's our rejection. Let's see what happens. this up here is resistance. So let's see exactly what's gonna happen here. We actually did crack the EMA, but we're still not through it. We got a reversal here. Heavy rejection here. Now as the stock's moving up, our option has gotten cheaper, right? So we could get in for a lot less, 300 bucks instead of 430. Look at our charts to see what our VIX are doing. Okay, see, our EMA opened up in a support area. It's getting a nice little bounce, but our VIX is very strong, man, very strong. So let's see what happens. Timing is important. You have to time this thing right. Look at our daily to see what's happening. Getting rejected. I'd look to come in here at 15. That's 375 bucks invested. Now let's see what happens to our Facebook here. Remember that this was a hard level. Look at this, got rejected here, 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 and here. So I'm not surprised that it came up close to it and got rejected. But let's see what's happening. Pan out. Get a look at multiple time frames to see what's happening. Get our perspective right. I can't really see that. We've broken below our EMA. Where are we gonna head? Already you can see that we're up 31%. Now, being that support was here on the move up, you're going to look for support here as well. Right? This would be the support here to break for us to stay in the trade and lock even more profits. Does that happen? Now when it gets to a support area, you usually see a few bounces here before it continues down, if it continues down. Clean break. Let's pan out for a minute. See, this was a lot of support from it from the previous day, and so I'm gonna get buys coming here. See the wicks on the bottom of the candle? So people buying in, but the day might be bearish enough to break through it and keep the downtrend strong. Just like that, we're up 116%. We've doubled our money. Now we're up 143%. Right? So our entry was at or around resistance, and our take profit would be, I guess, whenever you get your fill. Nice closeout. That's the end of the trade. And then look, you could have gotten more, but that's it. That's the process.